going on, bro?
Just enjoying this beautiful day, man. It's beautiful weather. We're out here in Maryland for my wife's best friend's wedding. So,
That's what's up, man. That background is perfect. I like it.
oh yeah, man. You know how it is the fall out here in Maryland.
Yeah,
Right on Kent Island. Perfect.
you picked the perfect spot, man. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, not a problem.
My bad. I was having technical difficulties trying to figure out this whole uh quick what is it called? QuickTime recorder on my laptop.
Oh neat.
Yeah, so I'm recording you on my laptop, and then that way I'll be able to use that as the video. But I couldn't figure out how to record, and I was trying to figure out the volume. So, but I think I got it now.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So what happened last time? My first interview I did. I recorded. It was a Zoom call, and I recorded with my GoPro, and I recorded with my phone, and I didn't pick up any sound on the Zoom call.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, so the whole entire like conversation was recorded on my GoPro, but because like the timing with the Zoom it lapsed a little bit.
Yeah.
I couldn't mesh them together, so it like all went to waste, man. So
No.
yeah, man. So hopefully doesn't happen this time. But hey, man. First of all, I just want to say thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. A little quick breakdown of what vet is all about. So I kind of got inspired because I was always seeing veterans wearing like veteran hats and like the older veterans,
Yeah.
retired Army retired hats. You probably seen them. And I was stationed with a guy actually at drum, and he's young. He's like my age. He got out and he FaceTimed me. And he had like a retired hat on, but it just looked it didn't look right on him. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I think we should probably like, I should try to make something for like the younger generation, for the newer generation, something different. You know what I mean? So that's where the whole inspiration came from. And then, a couple years later, we got vet.
I
So that,
love that too, vet. You know what I mean? So it's like it connects you a little bit more. You feel that.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was hoping for. That's what I was definitely hoping for. So
Fact that you're coupling it, with the spotlighting and the opportunity to talk about stuff, you know what I mean? It makes it more than a clothing. It's, you know what I mean? It's a remembrance. It's a connection. Because when you get out, man, you'll learn. You miss that camaraderie, man.
yeah,
You don't have, or you really don't.
yeah,
So the minute you talk to somebody about your service or somebody you knew when you were served, and you're like, yes, I'm there. It's so exciting, man. It pumps you up.
yeah. That's what's
So
up, man. That's what's up.
I'm excited for you. I think it's an incredible opportunity.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, my whole motto is about to inspire. Like I got a shirt on right here. It's to inspire, motivate, and give back. You know what I mean? I truly believe in like motivation, like people pumping each other up. And I also want to give back. So that's what the whole vet spotlight is all about. So like I just want you to kind of talk about your story a little bit. Kind of introduce yourself, and then talk about why you decided to join the military in the first place.
For me, man, it was like it was 2008. I just graduated from University of Delaware, and I could not find a job. Like the market was done. Like
Yeah,
there was nothing out there. I had student loans, and my dad, who was in for 20 years in the Air Force, said, you got 6 months. He's like, you either move out or you join the military.
oh wow.
So recruiter and was like, I need to go as soon as I can. So the Air Force did 2 years. I wasn't really about the Navy and the Marine Corps. So I was like, well, I'll check the Army out. My dad was not okay with that, but it, they got me in to be an officer. And then I ended up fracturing my hips femur to femur right at the end of our basic training together.
Yeah, I
And then
remember
going,
that. I remember that.
they sent me on con leave. And I got back from con leave, ready to go. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. You're no longer part of the program because you convalesced for longer than 30 days and you have a secondary profile coming back.
Wow.
So due to it, I was in less than a year. I was like, okay. So I want to be a medic. You know what I mean? I want to help out and give back. And it was 68 whiskey.
Hmm.
And they're like, okay. They came back to me the next day and like, well, here's 15 whiskey. You're going to fly UAVs. And you leave tomorrow for Fort Huachuca, Arizona.
How did they mess that up?
Because it was one of those as needs. You know what I mean? There were so many
Okay.
slots of it. So I'm not a science person. Like I was like flying. Like I have no interest. What is this? I had no idea. Never heard of a UAV. Didn't know what it was.
Right.
So next thing I'm at Fort Huachuca, Arizona for a year, learning to fly these unmanned aerial systems.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was that pivotal moment in my military career, because I remember calling my dad and being like, "Dad, they're telling me I can just go home now. Like, what do I do?"
Right.
And he's like, "Convictions. What did you join for?" And I was like, "Well, I wanted to learn to be a leader." You know what I mean? He's like, "You don't have to have a bar to lead." He's like, "You can have stripes to lead." So he's like, being an officer doesn't mean that's the only way to lead.
Right.
So if I can't lead with bars, I'm gonna lead with stripes. And I hit the military with just that zest. Like, I'm gonna make a change. I'm here. You know what I mean? I wanted to be as successful as my father was. I mean, he was a command chief master sergeant in the United States Air Force.
Oh wow. Okay.
I watched lives. You know what I mean? Young men and women's lives, and I was like, that's what I want to do. So I got promoted pretty quick. As soon as I left AIT, I got stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. And then we deployed out to Shank, Afghanistan within like 6 months.
Wow. And
I was there for 12 months.
Wow.
And I was promoted to buck sergeant by the end of that deployment.
Nice. That's what's up.
And at that point, man, to be an officer, it was the cool part, because I had a 3-year enlistment.
Mm-hmm.
So in Afghanistan, my enlistment was up. So I got to re-enlist for like $15K in pocket.
Oh wow.
And it was only like a 3-year re-enlistment.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep tagging these.
Yeah.
So it just crazy, because I never wanted this MOS. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But it allowed promotion opportunities and leadership schools and all of these things and these new deployment experiences that it had completely excelled my military career. And I didn't even plan for it. I just kind of rode the wave, and I stayed motivated. I tried to stay grounded. You know what I mean? I read a lot. I read a lot of books on leadership. You know what I mean? Following, oh my goodness, his name just escaped me. But Colin. I followed him a lot. Yeah.
What's his first name?
I'm trying to General Colin. Oh my goodness, he was President Bush's aide.
I can't remember.
Light skinned black man, first classes.
Yeah. Colin Powell. Is it Colin Powell? Yeah, Colin Powell. Yeah, yeah. I think I have a book on him.
His leadership principles are beautiful. One of the things he always said is, if you have to remind somebody what your position is, you're probably they need. Because leaders don't need to tell somebody. I mean, and that's just like what, now that I'm a vet and I'm medically retired, I don't need to tell somebody, hey, I'm a vet.
Right.
You know what I mean? How I carry myself, how I speak with you. You know what I mean? Those are the integrity, and those are the things I bring to the table. You would already know.
Yeah.
And that'll you to bring change and motivate people's lives, even though I can no longer serve.
Yeah. So how many years did you end up doing total?
So total between active duty and reserves, I did 9 years.
Oh, so you went reserves after active duty?
I did. So what happened was I got my second deployment, and I call it the deployment bug. I love being deployed.
Yeah.
It's intense, and life is really difficult. But there's never been another moment in my life where, emotionally, mentally, you're more clear on what is expected, what you need to do. You're around people who are all about the mission, all about the same thing, and it's amazing.
You're absolutely right. I get that same feeling.
Because I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing today. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to give everything I've got. I'm going to go eat chow. I'm going to go to the slam everything.
Yep.
And then I'm going to watch like 2 movies and go to sleep. Like it was so routine that it made you feel good. And then the adrenaline picks up and you're ready to go, but then you're right back in a routine.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yep.
My second deployment, my daughter was just born. She was almost 5 months old, and this time I'm deploying out of Fort Drum. So we're ended up meeting up with you after I was at Fort Hood.
Yeah, I always tell people the story about it, man, because I remember you from basic, and then I didn't see you for maybe 3-4 years, and then I think I ran into you coming out of Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
And you remember me too, and I was like, who is? I know this guy from somewhere. And we actually came in through the same MEPS. I didn't even know that. And because I went back, I was going through your Facebook page, and I was looking at pictures, and I was looking at some of the people standing when you were swearing in. And I have pictures. I was standing in that same formation, but I was like to the left. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, we came through the same MEPS. It's crazy. It's a small world.
It is.
Small
and
world.
that was for me mean? Because you and I, when we went into basic, there was like all these people from all these different places, and I remember being like, I don't like any of you guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't respect yourself. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't relate to you.
Yeah.
And then you came talking. You're like, yeah, I'm from Baltimore. I'm like, oh, Delaware. You know what I mean? It's like so close. I know the area. You know what I mean? It was that immediate thing when you get in the military. Like somebody's within 3 hours from where you're from.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, we're now. Like, got you.
Yeah, that's that first connection you build, and then you go from there. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So like looking back now, like I know things kind of didn't play out the way you wanted them to play out. Everything kind of just worked on its own. If you could change anything, would you change anything? Would you like make a different choice or?
It's the hard part because in the mind that I am here today, and mind you, it's been created and produced because of the choices I've already made. I wouldn't do it any differently.
Right.
But if I were looking at the mindset of I was when I was going to make those pivotal discussions, I think I might have done it differently. I got back from deployment, and my daughter started having some changes. She was only almost 16 months old.
Okay.
So my wife, the eye contact was slowing down. And it just really picked up for me because I was like, wow, you know what I mean? Like my soldiers need me. At the time, I'm a staff sergeant now.
Yeah.
I've got guys. Then I was so intent on, making sure they were okay when we got back from deployment that I would be able to identify any of the risks or any needs so, we can get them help because I didn't get that on my first deployment. Yeah. And I really, to this day, man, I suffer because I didn't take the steps. So to say, hey, I needed help. I mean, I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
But we're talking years removed from the day I walked in.
Right.
And, my wife looked at me and she's like, I'm done. I was like, well, what do you mean you're done? I've got another deployment 9 months coming up. This time it's to Iraq. I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't been to Iraq to go.
Yeah.
Look, you either need to pick your family or you need to pick your career. She's like, I don't want to keep doing this anymore. She's like, I didn't marry you to be a single mom.
Yeah.
She's like, the deployment really showed me that, this isn't the life I want. And that was such a huge check because I'm like, no, I'm about to go. At the time, I was like, I'm going to go to ALC. You know what I mean? And then I'm going to lock in for SLC. I was like, man, you don't understand. We're doing things.
Yes.
We're going. We're okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to buy this. And that's another $20,000. We're good to go.
Right.
Do this. She's like, I'm not about to. But we noticed that Maddie would need medical, coverage pretty quick after I got out. So I sat down with the recruiter again. And he said, look, man, if you join the reserves, just tell me you're going to join the reserves, and I'll give you 6 months at TRICARE Prime, continued at no cost, so you won't have to lose any transition. So I ended up going into a Seaburn unit here in Delaware as an intelligence guy. So and they gave me that, I got to help them with their gunnery tables and do it out of Delaware and work my weekends. But a lot of health issues for me started coming up. I mean, I was getting migraines, and come to find out, man, I've got severe nerve damage that goes from the spine all the way to that occipital area in the back of my head. So I get, I go to the VA, man, the doc gives me injections, and I get injections into my spine, and my PTSD was getting bad, man. I was blacking out and, losing 3-4 hours of my day. I didn't know where I was or what I was doing. Wow. My body was on pilot. So all of this stuff kind of started happening, and it was so ironic because I was in the process of applying to be a state trooper and to be a cop here, man. And it was just God was telling me, no, you need self-care. Yeah. I'm hitting you up with letting you know, your body's on. You got problems.
You got to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Goodness, man. And it was so weird because, again, I was so driven on being a leader.
Right.
And, leaders forget first and foremost is to take care of yourself.
Right.
You're so busy with other people. And then it was okay, well, now I got to take care of my family because I don't have my military buddies anymore. Mm-hmm. So now I got to take care of family. And I forgot to take care of myself.
Yep.
And when you take care of yourself, man, you will come to a point where you have no choice.
Yep.
And now you can't take care of anything else because you've not taken care of yourself to do so.
Yeah.
Because of the choices that my wife, guided through God, I believe, let me know. I mean, that's what allowed me to be able to save myself.
Yeah. Because
you see those young guys, in the military, and they just go, and they drive, and they don't take a second to unpack everything that they've experienced and gone through, mm-hmm. and it's too late. Mm-hmm. So where I am today is because, I was open to listening, even if I wasn't happy about doing it.
Right.
I mean, I did. My wife and I went through some issues because I resented the fact that I felt like she had given me an ultimatum.
Yeah.
And now, looking back on it, I mean, that was God touching her to say, like, there's a different path for you.
Right.
And here I am, and my daughter's now 6 years old. Her and I have an incredible relationship. She has all the therapies in the world, and we spend so much time together.
Nice.
She has grown me so incredibly much. I mean, when you have little girls, it's like you learn as a dad how to love.
Right.
Completely unselfishly love. And I couldn't have asked for a cooler experience. And I wouldn't have any of this if I was still in the military.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think my son just walked down here. No. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, you gotta go back upstairs. I'm recording something right now.
But I have a surprise for you.
Okay, you can show it to me after I'm done. Okay?
Let me show you what.
Hold on. My bad, Josh. Yeah, this guy came out of nowhere. He always wants my attention all day, every day. So, just like you talking about your daughter, I already know.
Hey, that's dedicated, man. That's where my dad taught me, dedicated.
Dedicated, yeah, absolutely. Yep. And I'm at 3. I know you got one on the way. Congratulations on that too, by the way. You guys excited?
Oh man, it's incredible. I'm scared though because like I said, for the last 6 years I've been so used to one.
Yeah.
And it's like daughter. I mean, I'm so invested in everything is for her. It's like all of my attention, all of my love, and all of everything. I don't have to worry about anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I'm gonna learn how to split that.
Yeah.
But what is again looking back over the last 6 years, I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing before I started this, and now I do.
Right.
So it's like just open, I'll figure it out. Get through it.
It's natural. It'll just come naturally. So
you guys are kind of like, I mean, your daughter's 6 now, and when she turning 7?
September. So she just turned 6 this September.
Okay, so your kids will be about 6 years apart. My 2 daughters are about 4 years apart, and then my youngest daughter and my son are about 5 years apart. So we got kind of like similar age gaps,
Good.
So it'll work out good because your daughter's gonna feel like the big sister, and like she's got to take care of her younger sibling and stuff. So
like she's capable more so now to do that.
Are you guys trying to make it a surprise, or do you know what you're having, or?
No, so we don't know. Like we are not patient people. Like we want to know. We want to get everything set up. We want to make sure. So we have about another 8-9 weeks, so we find out. Through
Okay.
Now, so
okay,
we're
that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So real quick, I wanted to ask you. So
younger soldiers coming up now, right? Younger guys in the military, because like you were talking about, people go, and I know it's like frowned upon a lot, especially in some like combat units where you go to sick call, or you're shamming all the time, or you're trying to get out of stuff. People look at you like you're not trying to play your part. So looking back, what would you tell younger soldiers now, like as far as that stigma goes, as far as not like taking care of yourself and preparing yourself for when you do get out, so you don't end up in similar situations?
I think it would be important for soldiers to know that, we take our service for granted. You don't realize when you go in, you're like, oh, I'm just going to do this thing. You don't realize that, every month, every duty station, every year, you're adding the cross that you bear.
Yeah.
Your service is the cross that you're going to bear. So either you start handling that early on so you know how to process that, or you're going to be forced to do so later. And that could, your life is a trajectory. When you're in the military, you make choices based on what you want to do. If you don't, look out for yourself, conduct self-care, go to the gym, even if you don't want to go to sick call, that's fine. You can find chaplains, you can find, older mentors that you can sit down and talk to.
Yeah.
It's okay to not be okay.
Mm-hmm.
It is okay to struggle with some of the things we've experienced. It doesn't make you less of a killer. It doesn't make you less of a warrior.
Yeah.
If, seeing death hits you wrong.
Yeah.
The first life and death engagement that I had when I was in Afghanistan, I noticed that like my adrenaline was going, and we had made such light of it because we're like, oh, we're cold-blooded killers.
Yeah.
And I'm 25 years old. You know what I mean? I didn't even process what just happened because I'm over here like, oh, I'm set up, so I'm supposed to do. Like, I'm not even worried about myself.
Right.
You know, a chaplain, you know, sit with yourself, you know, read, journal your experiences, and then check back on it. It doesn't take a lot of time. You know what you want from your life after the military.
Right.
That may, but say, you know, I'm giving Uncle Sam 10 years.
Yeah.
That's tops.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm after that.
Yeah.
And if that changes, okay. But if you know where you want to go, you'll recognize what steps you need to make along the way. You know, sick call. The military does sick call very wrong because, you know, they're like, oh, you know, sick call and all that stuff. So eventually your body's going to force you to take care of it.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But, you know, to be honest, I mean, when you're a young private, like, I know money can be tight, but invest in yourself. You know what I mean? You know, find a personal trainer. You know, look up, you know, nutritionalists that can help you eat right, because all of those steps when you're a young soldier, you know, will make better habits for you as you get older.
Yep.
And, you know, taking care of yourself early on will help you.
Yeah.
So but, you know, seek mental health guidance, whether it's through religious services or a mentor. Talk to somebody, period, all the time. Even if you're okay, just talk to somebody. You'd be surprised how you're feeling on the inside.
Right.
Do you cross paths with a lot of soldiers now, or do you cross paths with, like, you're not in the reserves anymore, right? You're completely out.
My reserve soldiers that still reach out. I work at a financial institution, and we have a pretty big vet kind of community, if you will.
Okay.
So we do like Mission 22.
Okay.
You know, it's like a push-up challenge, but we make it uncomfortable for people. You know, we get up in the middle of the office area. I get a group of us. We start doing push-ups, and it forces people to ask questions.
Right.
And I'm so transparent with a lot of my mental health issues and the things I've gone through and some of the downfalls I've gone through, because I want people to know what it's like. You know, this isn't always the Hollywood. You know, you're not looking at, you know, SEAL team when you think about what's going on.
Exactly.
with everyday kind of Joe. Like, I want you to know that this is hard.
Yeah.
You know, I love my service. You know, I miss it all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have to, you know, I've learned to be in the present. I've learned to try to enjoy where I am, because I'm in a beautiful story that's continuing to unfold, and I just have to kind of let it go.
Yeah.
But I run across a lot of veterans, and especially gym. That's my favorite therapy spot, man. I go to the gym.
Yeah, that's good. So speaking of running into veterans, let me ask you this. So what do you think
happened? Because I see a lot of veterans, especially here on Fort Hood. You see a lot of veterans out in the streets, right? You see people that serve, they come in the military, they do all this, you know, great stuff. They put in all this time, and then they get out, and then they struggle. You know what I mean? They're struggling out there in the real world. What do you think happens? Do you think, like, mentally, you think it's something that starts from the very beginning, just because they came straight out of high school, or what do you think happens?
So, the military makes us very codependent. They give us a lot of things that we take for granted. You know, you get your housing, right? You get your food. You know where to be, when to be, how to be, what to wear.
Right.
It's all set up for you.
Yeah.
Your attitude, the difference between you and somebody else who may be successful or not successful, it's all attitude. That's what you can bring. But the military shapes you to do exactly what they need you to do.
Yeah.
Get out. You're so driven into, you know, being a servant leader, right? You're not focused on yourself. So when you get out, you're like, well, yeah, I sat through maybe like a week of SFL TAP, but what am I doing? Like, where do I go? How do I get a job? You'll notice that, you know, I'm a vet, so people will give me a job.
Right.
No. Like, be hungry.
Yeah.
You need to be out there doing everything you can. You have to now network yourself. Nobody's going to give you the answers. You can't turn to your squad leader and be like, hey, how do I do this resume thing?
Right.
Like, you know, you're staying up until the wee hours of the morning researching and looking up what job you want. Because unless you want to be a contractor, you know what I mean? I can't just go get a job in my hometown for flying UAVs.
Right.
I didn't even know what I would do.
Yeah.
And a lot of your job opportunities, you kind of have this expectation when you're getting out, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Because the military gets you confident. You're like, nope, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out. If your first, second, third, you know what I mean, plan of option doesn't work, you have to keep that drive. You got to stay hungry.
Yeah.
I mean, I ended up working as a compliance investigator for a financial institution. I never thought I'd work for a bank. Like,
Yeah.
But it was going through emails and marketing myself and going to these places and going to the different gyms and meeting people, be like, hey, and asking uncomfortable situations.
Right.
I've been a worker on here. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, look, I'm new to the area. You know, I'm on Indeed. You know, here's my name. I make cards for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, what kind of job opportunities are out here? Who would I talk to? You know,
Right.
what are some nice markets? I treated it like I was at a new base, and I'm going to ask people questions. I think vets get discouraged because things aren't being done for you.
Right.
And you get to that. You don't recognize that you become dependent.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I talk to people all the time. So sometimes I'll do like a little bit of Uber or on the side or Lyft.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have conversations with soldiers all the time, and that's kind of one of the things I talk about because I've noticed it. I've noticed how people come straight out of high school and they're giving everything. Even like the barracks situation. Like I tell people all the time, I was like, you know what? I don't even think there should be a barracks. I think it should be barracks, but I think they should charge you rent, charge you a security deposit.
You know, that way you'll take better care of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't budget until it's too late. You know, when you're in the military, you get what? I think a private gets like $900 every 2 weeks.
right.
You know what I mean? You may not have bills to realize how much money that is not.
Yeah.
And when you get out, like, you've got a mortgage or you've got rent. And look, what I made in the military as a staff sergeant, you know what I mean? I felt like the pay was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I could survive in a civilian environment making what I made as a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
No, you can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's only so many hours in the day too, so you really have to learn, like, okay, how do I hustle myself?
Right.
And if you got, they need you, you know what I mean? Especially in the transition out of the military, so you can't just be like, oh, well, I'll go work 2 jobs, because look, a broken family is going to cost you more.
Right.
Like, I'm here to. The alimony's coming. Like,
Nah, you're absolutely right. It's tough because I'll be grinding it out now. I'm a staff sergeant, you know, and I got, you know, I take care of 5 people. And it's not easy.
You know what I mean? Living on post, they take your whole BAH, so you don't even see that. You know, so you got to do little things on the side. You got to drive Uber and Lyft, and you know, grind it out. Do a T-shirt business or whatever it is that you have to do to kind of like stay afloat, because it's tough out here. You know.
But that's what I tell every vet. You know what I mean? Don't expect to go work for somebody else. In your career, try to identify what you can bring to the world when you get out.
Yeah.
Because that's the best. Is trying to be an entrepreneur early on.
Yep.
Because then you're younger when you get out. Maybe you save some money, so that capital gains you've got to put towards your business, you've got that already.
Right.
You know, that bonus you made when you overseas, you invested that so that you can take care of another business when you get out.
Yeah.
Or invest in property and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, about it, because in the military you live in the here and right now.
Yep. Absolutely right. How's the pandemic affected you over there? Like, have you guys been okay?
Yeah, man. God has blessed me so much. You know, I'm not a fan of my job because I don't have any leadership and training kind of things. I sit at a desk, I investigate, I do really well at what I do, but I don't have the kind of one-on-one connect like I love to do.
Right.
You know, being able to hold somebody and work with somebody. I miss that so much.
Yeah.
But I work from home, so I haven't lost any income.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Transition, and again, I still spend more time with my daughter, which allows me to kind of homeschool her and help her out with her schoolwork. And I spend a lot of time with my wife, so it's been a blessing. I will say, you know, when you have the pandemic, you know what I mean, mental health becomes more difficult. You have to find different ways to manage your mental health. I mean, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I see a counselor once a week. I see a counselor once a week, and I see a marriage counselor every other week.
Nice.
And I'm like, even if you don't think you have a problem,
Yeah.
you need to, whether it's a counselor, it doesn't have to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but talk to somebody.
Okay.
Because you don't realize the things in your head. The brain is such an incredible thing. I saw some pretty horrendous things, and I have what they call dissociative identification disorder, DID.
Okay.
My body saw some of the things we saw, because flying UAVs, you see on the ground, you see some pretty horrendous things.
Yeah.
Your brain, that warrior ethos keeps you motivated to keep doing your job. But what you saw didn't go away.
Right.
Your brain moves it around, and everybody has their own way to do it.
Right.
So my processed it differently. It was there, but I didn't unpackage it.
Yeah.
So, again, if you don't take care of yourself, your body will let you know it needs to be done now.
Nah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. I was actually in Iraq when everything like got big in the States.
So, I kind of missed the first wave of it as far as like quarantining and the streets being empty. But one of the first things I was hearing about when I got back was, domestic violence and, issues in the household because people were just like not used to being around each other for so long. You know what I mean?
And that drug abuse has been something that's huge because, again, if you don't learn how to cope with difficulties, you're going to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
If you're not used to talking with your spouse or communicating when you're not okay, you know what I mean? Arguments are going to happen. You know what I mean? And that was the crazy part, too. We're in the military, especially with your spouse. We didn't have, we had arguments, but we didn't have problems because I was always waiting for that next TDY. I was waiting for that next deployment. So, yeah, she's annoying me, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm only here for like 2 months.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Don't work things because you don't have to.
Right.
Now, when you're in a pandemic, look, that room next door is only so far. Right? You have to talk.
Yeah.
So communication is so key. As leaders, we would tell our soldiers, look, I need you to call me. Here's the information I need you to tell me. But when you look to your spouse, you're just kind of like, hey.
Yeah.
It's like
exactly.
You forget what to do.
Exactly.
You got to communicate. I tell everybody all the time, be transparent.
Yeah.
Because you'll learn a lot more from yourself by talking to people than they will about you.
Yep.
I've done that recently. I've learned to like talk more now. You know what I'm saying? In a relationship and try to like communicate a little bit more. Because at first I was always that tough guy. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not talking about this. You know what I mean? Try to brush it off. But yeah, I've noticed that you have to actually deal with the problems, up front. So.
And I looking at some of these guys, people make fun of younger soldiers, like, oh, the millennials, the snowflakes, are so sensitive.
Yeah.
Look, man, they had opportunities that I don't feel like we did. They're not afraid to say, like, hey, I'm not okay with that.
Right.
Hey, that leader is saying some things I'm not okay with. I don't like how these female soldiers, I don't like what he's saying to me. Because I would always, soldiers would make so many more complaints than I remember us doing when we were younger. And I'm like, man, these guys complain about everything.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, wait a minute. That's something that didn't settle with them. They're having the courage to say, like, hey, I'm not okay with that. Explain this to me.
Yeah.
And that, the older guys, we were like, what are you talking about? Do what I say, don't ask questions.
Right.
But soldiers, so I think that will translate really well as they, get out because they're asking questions. They are so much more self-aware of how they're feeling about what's going on.
Yeah.
The blessing is, as a leader, it makes you work harder because as a leader, you better know what you're doing. Yeah. Because they're requiring that you tell them what's going on, and they deserve that. That just means you have to work hard as opposed to do what I quiet.
No, you're absolutely right. I never even looked at it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people now are like, oh man, these guys complain so much now, and I didn't do this growing up. But it makes a lot of sense now because, it's affecting them, and they have the courage because it affected us when we were growing up. We just didn't say anything. You know what I mean?
Look at the rates of military sexual trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is, I guess, what happens, and we weren't talking to each other. You look at the cultural divide even between the military. Racism exists.
Yeah, it does.
And but we didn't talk about it because we're like, oh, he's just sense of humor. And these younger soldiers that are coming in, they don't have time for that.
Yep.
They don't have to worry about like, oh, I don't want him to think something. They're like, no, I don't like that. Like, why did you speak to him?
Yeah.
And I had a soldier that called me on it. I was mad and I was using languages. And I remember he was like, Sergeant, you can't speak like that. And it was a private. I'm over here like, who are you talking to? He's like, look, Sergeant, like, I respect you, but we're still people, and you can't speak like that. That's not okay with me.
Yeah.
And then I had to step back and be like, okay.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I can assume that, I've got carte blanche to be a certain way. Like, wow, I need to make sure these guys are okay with that. And and that's when I started to realize, like, this is a different kind of soldier. Yeah. And it's great. I really think that it'll bring the military so much further along. It just requires leadership to be a lot more dedicated, a lot more complex to do as I said.
Yeah. No, I think
how to reach these kids.
I think it's happening. I think it's happening right now. I think it's just moving really slow because the conversation is still hard to talk about. When the whole riots broke out in the States and, you had leaders trying to conversate about the situation going on, but they really didn't want to talk about certain things. You can see it, you know. So I think the transition is happening. It's just happening really slow, just like anything else in the Army or in the military. So
you know what, and is I think if leaders ask more questions instead of feeling like they were in a position to tell somebody what to do about it,
yep,
I think it would give your subordinates so much more.
Yep,
because
absolutely.
If they can come talk to you and tell you what they're thinking,
yep,
you're going to get them more than you giving them advice, because inside their head, they're not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Sergeant said it's like this. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but whatever.
Right.
And they're gone.
Yep.
But if you have the power to talk to you about where they're coming from, you're going to learn about them, and they're going to follow you so much more because you care. That's all it is. So just ask them questions.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. I'm excited. I think again, and this happens because I reach out to soldiers I know from the reserves. I reach out to some of my older battle buddies that, were my soldiers when we were in, and I asked them, how are you doing? What are things you're experiencing now? What's it like now?
Right.
And it's really neat.
Right,
so,
and that goes back to this whole platform, and this is what it's all about. This is having these conversations, trying to give back a little bit of experience, a little bit of motivation to the younger upcoming generation, so they can learn from our experiences. You know what I mean? And I learned from this too. I learned from this just like you learned from this. So I really appreciate you doing this, man. Taking the time. I know you guys got a family thing going on today, so I'm not going to hold you too much longer, man. But I just wanted to say thank you. You're my second vet spotlight.
Great, man. I really hope that this helped you further put out your product, man. Because what you're doing, bro, it's incredible. You know what I mean? It's that lingering gift, that you're giving to somebody else. Being able to look back and share something, and then having that material to hold on to. And this shirt, the way this is gonna start a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk around here, in this wedding area this weekend, and be like, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked." Like, talking questions, and it's incredible because one of the things I miss the most is the connection person to person. You don't get that as much in the civilian work, worried about their own business. In the military, we talk for hours.
Exactly.
So this allows me to be able to introduce people to my cause, introduce people to my passion.
Yeah.
And, and continues to spread. And you're doing that. That's what you're offering people right now. And you're being a servant leader and a father. Bro, I'm so proud of you, man. I'm so great to know you as my brother. I'm excited for you.
I appreciate you, man. That means a lot, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, man.
Keep that conversation going.
Oh, yeah. If there's ever anything I can do for you too, man, as far as put the word out, or start working at different areas that we can push your product and push your word out. We can get cards, and I'll leave cards places so people can go and check your site and see about it. You'd be surprised when word of mouth in the vet community goes from East Coast, West Coast real quick.
It does. Absolutely, yeah. I'm gonna definitely be reaching back out to you. And I'll send you the information once I put the video up, put the link up. Hopefully everything recorded perfectly this time and I don't have any issues. All right, Josh, I appreciate this, man. Thank you. I'm gonna let you go.
So much, man.
Congratulations to you and your wife again on the brand new baby, and I'll keep in touch.
Hey, man, life is good. God is good every day. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, take care. See you.